Well, hello and welcome to my little studio where I have my trusty dogs keeping an eye on me. I just wanted to start by thanking Nick for inviting me to do this video about my vocal process, and to say that probably a year and a half ago was the first time I recorded my vocals. I've never done it before then, and now there's no stopping me. And not only had I never recorded my vocals before, but I'd never even sang in public. Well, that's a lie actually. I was in a band in the 90s playing flute, jazz, acid jazz, and they wanted some backing vocals. I did a little bit of backing vocals into a microphone and they said, please don't do it again. And so since then, I've never sang in public. I've got good rhythm, I'm very musical, got lots of ideas, but my pitching isn't great, and my control, the control of my voice isn't great. But through the processes I'm going to show you today, I've got around that, and now I love doing vocals. So, and just to say, it started, as I said, about a year and a half ago. I asked a singer who I really liked their voice to do a song that I'd written, and she didn't have time, so I thought, let's have a go and see what happens. So yeah, this is the process. The song we're going to be working on today is called Things Will Change, and it's based on events in Ukraine. So we're going to do the high oohs now. The tune is coming on nicely, but these high oohs do need doing. This is how they fit into the tune. Let me solo them. As you can hear, they're rather out of tune. Go to the scissor icon, and here this little bow tie is the flex pitch. Do you want to turn on flex for track high oohs? Yes, we do. And we'll go to flex pitch. And there we go. So this is what it looks like at the moment. We're looking for a D. It wasn't too bad, but I did scoop up. Oh, that's still D. Ooh, ooh. Let's have a listen. Ooh, ooh, ooh. A, B, A. A. Oh, A sharp. Bring that down. B, A, that's not too bad. I'm going to highlight them all, and I'm going to go over here to the pitch correction. If it's like an ensemble like this, I tend to use pitch correction on lots of notes. If it's a solo line, I tend not to do it. I do it note by note. But I'm not going to take it to 100. I'm going to take it maybe to 83. I want it still to sound quite natural. And you can see that I'm wavering all over the place. So I'm just going to take this vibrato. I'm going to straighten these lines. And hopefully, I'm just going to go through, check it's all, that's on, just check that that's the same. 4, I'm going to bring that up to 4 as well, so it sounds a bit more the same. That all looks good. Let's have a little listen just to that now. Back to here. So you can hear it does sound like I've got some sort of effect on it, but I haven't. That's just because my notes were quite out of tune to begin with, and by tuning them, it gives it a slightly artificial sound, which I actually don't mind. I am going to tidy these up a bit. You can see this second one came in too early, but I'm going to keep that. But I'm going to really zoom in here and get it right at the start. And Command T is just cutting it. Off it goes. And let's just hear the ending. What I often do is put a fade just to make the endings a little bit smoother in case there are any funny beeps, clicks. Oh, let's get rid of that at the beginning. And let's have a listen. It seems to dip a bit at the end. Let's just have a look at that. Oh yeah, there we go. That's you can see that has gone just at the end. I want that to stay on A and that to stay on A. Just lift it up, and we've got a bit of a funny situation going on here. I'm going to go to here to the scissors and just cut that, which creates a new note. Bring that down to the A. What are we on here? I'm going to bring that in a little bit more. Change that vibrato, just scoop it down a bit. Let's see if that sounds any better. Yeah, perfect. And I might put some fades at the beginning of here. By the way, I'm just going up to here, coming down to the fade tool, and make sure you've just got the one that you want highlighted, otherwise you'll end up putting fades right the way through all the notes on this track, or all the regions on this track, which you probably don't want. Do one here as well. Now on this tune I've got 92 tracks at the moment, so it's very important to organise it as early as possible, and it was Nick Phelps who showed me how to do track stacks, and I use it on every song now. So you simply collect together all the tracks that you want, you highlight them all, you go to track, you go to create track stack, summing stack, create, and then you label it. And I'm just going to put lyrics so I know there are words in this track stack. Things will change. And then you can tidy it all up. And as you can see, I've got a piano I've just kept separate, that's me playing there. Bass and Vox bass is in there. Drums is in there. By far the largest tracks in all of my tunes are the vocals. Percussion, I usually keep my snaps and claps separately, got quite a few of those. The trombone has got its own track stack. So I've got lyrics here, things will change. Some more, things will change. It's slightly different. This is just one word, change. Change. So they're all together in there. Got my nanas. Na, 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 na. They're all together in there. I've got some quieter nanas just to beef up the louder nanas. Na, 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 na. Actually, they could probably come up a little bit more. Low oohs. That's them. oohs in the breakdown, which is a separate type of ooh. There and there. What else have I got? Nunners at the end. So that's in the big chorus at the end, needed a bit of beefing up. And high oohs towards the end. Those are the ones I was editing earlier. And then, because I felt I needed a bit more in the chorus, I've actually got some artificial African voices, which I just found in here. In the loops section, you go to vocals, African, and they're all here. Oh, not that one. Okay, where are they gone? Oh yes, of course. You need to if you go to the audio, you can't edit them. So I almost always use software loops. So we'll go to software loops. Here they are. There. You drag that in, and then I have basically changed the notes so that it fits the chords of my piece. And I noticed that there was no breaths in there basically, so I had to create artificial end points with gaps, so that it didn't continue over here and you could definitely hear it was artificial, which I didn't want. So they sound like this. Which does sound artificial, but when you put it with the others, with the oohs and the changes there, the lyrics, it kind of goes together pretty well, I think. So that is the extent of my track stacks. I'm going to go through the reverb that I use. I use the same reverb on all of my vocals. We'll take one of the buses. I'll take it on this one, just random. Type in reverb so I remember what it is. And yeah, I usually use Space Designer, but you go to Reverb, Space Designer, and the one I use is medium spaces, halls, bright hall. This was trial and error until I found one that I liked, and this is the one I use all the time now. Cut off all the lower end, and then that's all ready to go. I'll put all of these are my nunners for the beginning of the song. There's my, there it is. Just give it all a little burst. Let's have a listen. That sounds okay for the time being. Once the reverb is done, I put an 1/8 delay on it. I'll do another bus. I'll choose 22. Again, this is random buses. Label it 1/8 delay. And we go to delay. The 1/8 delay is a stereo delay. So I'm going to go to 1/8, both on 1/8. Deviation. Basically, I looked at a YouTube video, somebody recommended it, I watched it, I copied it exactly, and this is what I do now. I've got no idea what it means. I'm just copying his settings, but I like the sound of it, and that's all that matters. So that's my 8th delay. I do a little touch of that. And then the final one is a 16th delay, which I'll just label that, which is a mono delay. Again, this is what the chap on the YouTube video suggested, and I really like it. Tape delay, mono, and I changed this to 16th. The feedback at 30, wet up to 100%, everything else can stay the same, and then give it all a touch of that. So let's have a listen now. Na, 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 na. Yeah, that's nice. So now I will go through all of my vocals and put the reverb, the delays on all of the vocal tracks. Going to show you the EQ that I use. Again, it's the same one on every vocal that I've got. So go over here to the EQ. I always use clear vocals. That seems to be the best for my voice. Takes out the growliness. I've yet to find a way of doing it in a group. Doesn't seem to work if I highlight them all, go to EQ and choose clear vocals. It only seems to do it on the first one, which is a bit of a pain. Maybe I'm missing something there, but I'm going to go through now and put that EQ on every single vocal. Once I've done the EQ, I will do the panning. Now it's interesting with the panning because when I was 5 years old, I had meningitis and I'm completely deaf in my left ear. I've got no hearing at all in that ear. So panning is an intellectual thing for me. It's a visual thing. I can't actually hear any difference at all. It's all just mono. But I know the principles of panning, and through doing Taxi actually and doing my productions, I was amazed that they never mentioned anything about my production. So I was thinking, obviously what I'm doing is okay, so I just stick to that now. I've got 5 vocals here. I usually keep one in the centre. I'll take pan 1 maybe to about 14 to the right, 1 to about 14 to the left. Then I'll take another one a little bit bigger, 23, 23, and that will be that group, panned, EQ'd, and they've got their reverb on. Actually, that one hasn't got reverb. That hasn't got okay, I need to go back and just check that they've all got their reverb and their delays on. Recently, I've started panning just slightly the track stacks, i.e. the groups of instruments. I've got 10 groups of vocals doing different things. So I'm going to keep these nanas in the middle. This is the first lyrical group. I'm kind of imagining a stage with loads of singers on it, all on the back row, as it were, maybe on a step or something. So that's in my mind. So I'm going to just put that group -12 there. I'm doing it rather randomly, really. Not actually, I might make it a little bit less than that. Just splitting it up slightly, remembering that within each group I will be panning them as well. I haven't done that yet. So they're going to go slightly to the left. I'll put them slightly to the right and then to the left. These will go in the middle, they're the main ones. Take them a little bit further, 20. Take them 20, just spreading it out a little bit. Go to 22 there, 22 there, and 26, 26. And as I said earlier, I'm deaf in my left ear, so I will rely on Mark, my husband. He'll have a little listen. He'll say, "What on earth are you doing?" Or he'll say, "Yeah, that sounds great." So I'll leave that like that. And I will do this as well. Drums, I always imagine drums right in the middle, so I'll keep the drums there. Percussion, when I play with my 8-piece band, when we play live, the percussionist is always actually over that way slightly. The snaps can go the other way. The bass can go the other side of the drums. Just actually that's a bit too much. The piano can go a bit more, and I might balance the piano up with Mark on the trombone. He can go that side. And as I said, within each track stack, they are all those instruments, all the trombones are all panned as well. So that's just panning each group. Sometimes my voice is rather harsh, and especially in the high register. Let's just take off this a minute. Just have a listen. Things will... Actually, that's not too bad, but when it's higher, things will change. So that hasn't got any effects on, but it's been through flex pitch, which gives it that slightly artificial sound. But I still think it's a little bit too harsh. So I've decided with 3 of these vocals, those 3, things will change. I'm going to put a single EQ on and just shave off a little bit. So that's that effect. Things will change. It just takes the power, but the edge as well, which I didn't really want. It's most noticeable on the high notes. Things will change. And without. Things will change. I prefer it with. So yeah, I'm going to put the single EQ just on those 3, and I think it sounds... Things will change. I think it sounds better. Please believe it. Things will change for the better. Sometimes I do put an effect or 2 on, and I'm thinking this section needs something a little bit lower. Things will change. Things will change. The things will change bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new channel with all the same settings, duplicate settings. I'm going to take that, I'm going to Command C, put it in exactly the same place, and let's just have a look and see if I go to Little Altar Boy and try the classic DJ. I'm going to just take the formant up slightly. Might be a bit too much. Let's have a listen. Things will change. Yeah, so that is too high. I wanted that a little bit lower actually. So I'm going to go into it. You can see all the lines are straight now rather than all like this, and they're all in tune. Thank you to Flex Pitch. I'm going to highlight all of that. That's A3. I'm going to take it down an octave to A2. Come on, down you go. There we go. And I'm going to change that formant. Let's try it. Let's try it at 300. Things will change. Well, I know that sounds a little bit odd, but in the things will change. In the great scheme of things will change. Might take the volume. Things will change. Yes, they will. Yeah, that just gives it a little bit more depth. I try to be as light-handed as possible with the mixing. So I obviously use compression, but I tend to compress the track stack as a whole rather than individual vocals. So just looking at this is the ooze during the breakdown. I'm going to go to, although it's there, but you find it in dynamics, compressor, stereo. And again, I always keep it very simple. I tend to use the same one, which is vintage FET. I'll just solo it. And I'm looking for about -5, -6 for it to be hitting. And that sounds fine. I also check that it's not louder with the compressor on, so we'll try it with, without. That sounds about the same to me. But if it was louder, I would just take this makeup down a tiny bit, but it sounds good to me. All right, so that compressor will go on all of the groups, all of the track stacks. So I'm just going to play you a quick bit of the beginning into the verse, and you can hear the before, and then I'll play you the entire song at the end and see where it's gone to. This is the absolute original, the first day that I put it together. I don't think too much about it. I don't criticise myself. I just sing and work on it until I like the result. I often do go over things, but I don't do take after take after take. I do maybe 2 or 3 takes, and then I work with what I've got, because I know I'm not going to get much better. Anyway, have a listen. This was, the end of the first day. Things will change, please believe it. Things will change for the better. Things will change, that door will open. Keep on knocking till it does. Things will change. So if you've come this far, well done for watching it all. I hope you found it useful. I'm going to play you the final version now. I've mixed and mastered it. It's all ready to be sent to an agency. Hopefully somebody will want it. It's got Mark, my husband, Mark Bassey, trombonist. He's playing trombone on it for me, and I really love it actually. So thank you for watching, and good luck with all your vocal endeavours. Na 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 na. Things will change, please believe it. Things will change for the better. Things will change, that door will open. Keep on knocking till it does. Things will change. Things will change. Things will change. Things will change. Yes, they will.
things will change. Things will change.